So, Spider-Man Brand New Day. A lot of crazy rumors, a lot of crazy things going on with this film. We just got some comments from Tom Holland, which I thought were fascinating. And beyond just being fascinating, I can give you further context here. Spider-Man Brand New Day to feature real locations and practical effects. Marvel Spider-Man Brand New Day will begin production in Glasgow, Scotland on August 1st, 2025, while Tom Holland reprised his role as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, revealed that the movie will focus on old school filmmaking and shooting in real locations. In an interview with Flip Your Wig, Holland said Spider-Man Brand New Day will use practical effects and classic filmmaking techniques. The production will prioritize shooting in real-world locations rather than relying heavily on CGI or virtual sets. Holland also said that the previous Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, was limited by COVID protocols. But with the new film, the team can now go bigger and be more authentic with practical sets. Also, a major action sequence will be filmed on the streets of Glasgow, he said. We are going to use the streets of Glasgow for this massive set piece that we are putting together. Holland said we were really restricted with what we could do in the last movie because of COVID. Now we're really going to lean into the old school filmmaking and shoot real locations. We're going to use the streets of Glasgow for this massive set piece that we are putting together, he added. It's going to feel like a breath of fresh air. Fans are going to be over the moon with what we are putting together. Okay, so couple of things we got to say about this. First of all, for the last 2 years, we've been having this ongoing discussion about how Kevin Feige and Tom Holland wanted this next Spider-Man movie to be grounded, and Sony wanted it to be multiversal and spectacle. Now, to be completely honest with you guys, and a lot of you already know this, I was actually on the other side of this thing compared to many of you. So many of you wanted street-level Spider-Man, and I was like, I don't really care. I would prefer the multiversal stuff. Like, I'm all good with that, right? So, however, I did want to say that after hearing these comments from Tom, and after hearing his comments about working with Nolan, because Tom Holland just got done working with Christopher Nolan, who's considered the GOAT, at least of the current, living filmmakers. And, they shot this really big, crazy movie. And Tom just said it was amazing to watch this guy work, to watch their whole unit work. There's a reason they're the best in the game and all that sort of stuff. Okay. And, the more I thought about this from his perspective, he's probably really thinking in terms of like legacy and superhero movies and Spider-Man and doing the Spider-Man thing. Obviously, a lot of computer graphics, CGI work, and tons of visual effects and all sort of stuff. I would imagine if you're a person like Tom, thinking about your own career, thinking about the history of cinema, your own legacy and all this sort of stuff, I would imagine his perspective shifts away from money and into more legacy. Now, part of the reason is because he could retire today and live off the residuals for Endgame and Infinity War for the rest of time. He does not have to think about money, okay? But you think about what he did with, like, Bureau, which I think is, like, a ridiculous fucking project. But what does it indicate? It indicates that Tom is thinking about his legacy, his brand, his own world outside of just Spider-Man, Marvel, etc. Okay, so you take that mentality, you take these ideas and thoughts, and you just hear how he talked about Nolan and shit. And I bet, dead ass, he probably has a lot of friends or people that are in the industry, and they're just not giving him the flowers, the accolades, the respect, the legacy that he might think he deserves. And he's probably looking at some of the contemporaries or some of the people like even Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. did the Marvel thing, obviously made a big impact, but then he leaves and wins an Oscar, okay? So now he's Oscar-winning Robert Downey Jr. when he comes back to Marvel. And like, as all of this stuff is going through my mind, I was able to appreciate a little bit more why Tom has wanted classic filmmaking, why he wanted it to be more street level and grounded. Ironically, I think he's looking for a little bit more of what the Superman movie was trying to do, and that is to like give us a really authentic Peter Parker in a way that maybe other versions have not. Also, Tom Holland Spider-Man has been somewhat of the lackey of Tony. Technically, the end of No Way Home, for the first time ever, actually sets this character up on the right stage at the right time. This is Peter, you know, struggling to pay rent, shitty little apartment in New York City. Nobody knows who he is, listening to police scanners, sewing his own costume together. That's Spider-Man. And so I can kind of appreciate a little bit more why he wanted to do this and why he's excited about it. Now, the other thing that you really need to keep in mind here is these comments about the massive set piece on the streets of Glasgow just a couple of weeks ago, after it was basically confirmed that Hulk's the villain and Punisher's in the movie and all that sort of stuff. After that happened, Alex Perez came out and said they are building an action set piece for this film. They are pushing technology for this sequence. It is going to be shot with mostly practical effects, and it will take over a month to shoot this scene. When Alex said that, we were like, oh shit, like that's crazy. Over a month, practical sets? Wow. But now, to hear Tom himself say, we are going to use the streets of Glasgow for this massive set piece that we are putting together, does that not A, confirm that that's real, but B, show you that that's a significant part of the movie? And the other thing you got to keep in mind here is this is Destin Daniel Crichton. This is the guy that gave us Shang-Chi, which was dope, which was great, had a lot of practical effects, wire work, you know, the martial arts choreography. It's that guy. It's Tom Holland Spider-Man. It's John Bernthal as the Punisher. It's Mark Ruffalo as the frickin' Hulk. And it seems like they're trying to give us one of the best action sequences ever put into comic book movies that will also be shot with practical effects using classic old school cinematic techniques. And I'm excited. I'm excited by it. I think this is really interesting. What exactly is this sequence? What does this look like outside of like a ton of steroids and green paint? Well, they say the streets of Glasgow. Okay, so what I think they're going to do is build New York City. And I would expect this is busy traffic, downtown Manhattan, maybe even Times Square. Or it's on a busy bridge or something. I think this sequence is going to be a version of the scene from The Matrix in The Matrix 2. Because remember, they build a highway. I don't know if you guys know this. They built a whole ass highway to shoot those sequences in The Matrix. And I think it's going to be on a busy street. I think it's going to be Punisher going nuts trying to take down the Hulk. And I think it's going to be Peter trying to stop all the damage from happening, because I don't think Frank's going to really care too much about collateral damage. And I think Frank's going to use explosives, missiles, bombs. I think it's going to be fucking crazy, like rocket launchers, maybe even the War Machine armor or something like that. I think that's basically the scene. Is like Hulk's rampaging, Punisher's trying to stop him, and Peter is trying to stop that fight from hurting other people. So that's kind of the way that I see it going down, and that excites me. That excites me quite a bit, because Frank is one of those characters where, like, look, he's obviously very efficient, he's very militant, but against normal opponents, against like your average person, you can't really show Frank executing the full power of his arsenal and military ability. But because it's the Hulk, he will be able to go no holds bar. He will use all the weapons, all the veracity, all of his militant mind. He is going to go balls to the fucking wall in a way that I don't even think Tony would go against Hulk. So I think that's cool, man. Now I wonder, like, how's this going to translate for other folks? Like, how will they be excited about it? Well, I got to say, in the era of, like, you look at Quantumania, which was like fucking green screen goddamn disaster of a film, and it's just so weird, sloppy, and all over the place. It's trying to tell you about, like, multiverse, this, blah, blah, blah. At a time when all of that shit is a little trite and overplayed, Spider-Man, Punisher, Hulk, old school filmmaking, Destin Daniel Crichton, very, very crazy action, practical effects. Like, that does seem like they're selling something different at the very least. We'll see. We'll see how fans respond. But that's the news, man. That's the news. And I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be cool. Would love to know what you think, though. Thanks for watching. And if you like this clip, smash a like on the actual video and subscribe to this channel. That way more of these clips get into your feed. I've also linked the full episode below if you want to check out the entire thing, including the Q&A we do with fans. You can also watch this show live. We do it live Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And you can also find all of my content, including the videos I put on my main YouTube channel, on the podcast feed.